Welcome back, students of class 9, Don Bosco School, Mabasi, West Sikkim. So, uh, now for this session, we will learn about chapter 4 of history section, that is the Mauryan Empire. Mauryan Empire. In this section, what we will learn about is that how Alexander invaded, who was Alexander, and what kind of personality he had, like that. So let's start. Today's chapter is that uh, before starting, let's get a brief idea about who was Alexander. I know that everyone has heard about Alexander the Great ruler. So Alexander was king of ancient Greek, and the place this I think you have already heard in many terms, etc. And he was from kingdom of Macedon, and Alexander was a member of Agri dynasty. It's a clan, it's a lineage that he follows. So what we call is that every person has its own individual personality, and he was a great ruler, a great king. He has a personality which was very charismatic, that every person wanted to be like Alexander. He was very ruthless in his decision making. He will not give pardon easily to the people who just made a certain fault in his kingdom. He was very brilliant in strategies. He was very diplomatic in the sense that he could talk so many things with his opponent or counter other kings to diplomatically engage in a profitable manner for his kingdom. And he was very bloodthirsty, means he used to go for war, and he used to like war and war continuously. So for this chapter, the Mauryan Empire, we will be talking about how Alexander invaded India. Invasion of India. We will be talking about invasion of Alexander on which country? That is India. India. So, this is just a brief idea about how and who was Alexander. So, what do you mean by invasion? Invasion. I guess little everybody has a idea about invasion. Invasion means invading a country with his full might of army forces. Army forces, full might with army. Who has army? Who has army? Previously, king was a supreme power. King was a supreme power. He has a decision making ability, and he used to have so much of armies, battalions. People will use to go for war for one particular king's order. So invasion means to invade a country with full might of army, So India was, everybody knows that India was invaded by so many peoples back in history, but the invasion of Alexander in India was second invasion. So India was invaded by Alexander. So and it is considered that the tutor means teacher. Tutor can be considered as teacher also. Alexander teacher was Aristotle. He can be considered as father of political science. He can be considered as father of political science because when you will go for further studying, this will be a separate branch of studies. So he was a very brilliant mind. He had very much knowledge about every space. And I want you just to Google it, who was Aristotle. It will be very beneficial for you to understand who was Aristotle. And he just tutored Alexander. So uh, we can consider him as a greatest Greek philosopher. Philosopher. We can consider him as the greatest philosopher. And I want you all just to copy down these things in your notes, so you can make your notes by yourself, and it will be easier in understanding the particular chapter, and you can add it in your own language when you write your answers also. Now I hope everybody has understood this one. So I'll rub it, and let's proceed further. So now let's proceed with the further chapter. So now we will talk about how Alexander started his invasion to India. Before invading India, Alexander had already captured or conquered these two places, Bactria and Sogindha. Mm, And before coming to India, these two places he had already captured. And I had earlier told that Alexander invasion in India was second invasion. Before, India was under the invasion of Persian Empire. And how he learned about India, who told him about India, was none other than an Indian merchant. Sasi Gupta told him about India. He told that India is a very rich country where there are very resources are there, and everybody are rich, so on and so forth. He just told Alexander that this India is a very vast country with numerous resources. Culture is there, and it will jewels, gems are going to be found out there. So Alexander was keen to know about how India was as a country, and he was very keen in invading and conquering India. Now, let's proceed further. In 322, Alexander started an expedition, and I want you all to open your dictionary. Just make a habit of opening your dictionary, not in phone, just dictionary. Write down the meaning of expedition. And okay, Alexander started an expedition, crossed Hindu Kush mountains. Kindly Google it where Hindu Kush mountain lies, and reached first Indian state. At 322, Alexander started an invasion, or started an expedition as a journey, long journey, and crossed Hindu Kush mountains. It will be up in an upper part of India, in the Kush mountains, and reach first Indian state, which is called Takshila. First state, Takshila. And what happened was, King of Takshila is considered to be a first person who betrayed India for his own interest. And Alexander just talked and moved further because he just the king of Taxila sold, in a common language we can say that he sold India. And when he just passed the first Indian state of Taxila, Alexander met Paurava, commonly known as Porus, which is considered to be as a sworn enemy of king of Taxila. I hope you have understood till this. Kindly jot it down in your notebook. Till now, we talked about how um, King Takshila surrendered with Alexander, and he is considered to be as a first person who betrayed India for his own interest. Now, um, on that sequence, King Porus heard that King Taxila surrendered to Alexander, and the kingdom of King Porus was in between Jhelum and Chenab rivers. So, in that case, in that span, he decided to fight back with Alexander. He decided to be firm to protect his kingdom. He wanted to fight bravely. And in the sequence, both Porus and King Porus and Alexander fought a war where Porus was defeated. As we all know that Alexander had a very huge battalion of armies to fight for him, and they were very ferocious armies. So against Alexander, Porus was defeated. And when asked by Alexander how I want you to be treated, he asked to the Porus, and he said, he wants to be treated like king. For Alexander questioned Porus that how you want to be treated. In that question, Porus answered that he wants to be treated like king. And with this answer, Alexander was very impressed by Porus, and he was impressed that he had an audacity to he has a certain audacity to tell that Alexander that he wants to be treated as a king. And he was very impressed. Alexander was very impressed with the answer given by Porus, and by seeing that, he just let go King Porus' kingdom. He just gave a gift that I don't want to conquer your land, or I don't want to conquer your what we call it kingdom, because you are such a great king. Alexander told Porus that I will just let go your kingdom because you as a king is very brave. He said like that. Now, when we heard that Alexander was very impressed by the answer given by Porus. So he just Alexander left Porus' kingdom, and he proceeded further. While he was proceeding further, he reached Nanda dynasty. Nanda dynasty. And what happened was Alexander was very much keen on fighting, and he wanted to challenge King of Nanda dynasty. But due to continuous war, fighting with other kingdoms, Alexander's army was too tired to fight another war. So Alexander's army revolted against Alexander and said that we won't fight war with Nanda dynasty because they were too tired. They were continuously fighting with other kingdoms. So on that case, Alexander also said, okay, that let's proceed further or go back to our home, that was Macedonia in Greek. and they ultimately started his journey, Alexander's journey. Whose journey? Alexander's journey. Where to go? To go back their home. Home was Macedonia in Greek. So while going back, still they conquered, Alexander's with his army conquered many tribal kingdoms in between. Okay, now when Alexander returned to his home, in between the processes of going back home, in the way, he conquered many tribal kingdoms, and then he divided the tribal kingdoms into many satrapies. Satrapies are those places which is governed by a governor of a provinces. It will governor will look after the provinces. So let's recapitulate what we learned today in this session was these are the points. These are the points what we learned today. We learned about who was Alexander. Alexander was a Macedonian king who were king of Macedonia, which he was a member of a Greek dynasty. And we can consider Alexander as a greatest military minds till now, and greatest military minds in now, and in personality also he was very charismatic, he was diplomatic, he was ruthless and bloodthirsty, so on and so forth. And he started his invasion to India, and how he heard about India was from Indian merchant Gupta told about India to Alexander, and Alexander was very much excited to conquer or see India, what kind of country this India is. So from 327, he started his expedition from Hindu Kush mountains and crossed and came into India. And when he came to India, he first reached a first state, that is Taxila. Then this is a first state, Taxila, and King Taxila is considered to be as a first person who betrayed for his interest, or he sold India to his benefit. Then after when he met King Taxila, then after slowly King Porus heard that Alexander has conquered Taxila, but Porus was very firm that he wanted to fight back. He wanted to fight back to Alexander for securing his kingdom, because his kingdom was in between the rivers of Jhelum and Chenab. Then slowly, when they fought a war, then obviously Alexander was mighty in his army, and he just fought war with Porus, and Porus was defeated. On that defeated, in defeat mode, what happened was that Alexander asked that how you wanted to be treated. He asked question to Porus. Porus said that he wanted to be treated as a king, and with that answer, what happened was Alexander was very much surprised, and he was very much conscious that this type of king can't be found. So he just gave up the kingdom back to Porus. So gradually, then he went on proceeding further. He reached Nanda dynasty, and he wanted to challenge the king of Nanda dynasty. He wanted to wage a war with this dynasty king. But what happened was, by continuous fighting and traveling, the army of Alexander was too tired to fight another war. So the army revolted back to Alexander, saying that though the army don't want to fight a war, so he just kept it. And Alexander thought that it's time to return back to his home. So while returning his home, he conquered many tribal kingdoms, and that tribal kingdoms was converted into many satrapies, which is controlled by governor. So for this session, we learned these things: invasion of Alexander. And in next class, I will proceed with the other subtopics. I hope you have understood, and kindly note down these points in your exercise copy, which will be easy for you to write an answer, as I said earlier. And I hope you are doing your work in time. Kindly do as I say in WhatsApp group. Take care, stay safe. See you in the next session.